There's a storm coming soon. Could be thunder.
Will we ever see the sun again?
Did you see that? Tell me you saw that.
How may I help you today, Clive? Here you are. You earned this. Here you are. All yours. You earned this. All yours. Come again. I may have more for you.
Made your own skies then.
You'll own winner's war. We should fancy a look at the list, do you? Anything catch your eye? Think you can help?
Otto, how fares the realm?
The realm? Oh, she's just fine. As long as you look past the fact storms out mother crystals and her skies are a roiling cesspit.
And Gav?
He's with your uncle in the Free Cities, helping Mid with her project. Sent an owl their way the moment the winds turned foul. Still waiting on a reply, though.
Do you have any good news?
Well, that depends on your definition of good.
All right, fine. What do you suggest we do?
Oh, no, I'm just a messenger. I'll leave the scheming to those more suited to the task. Could be that Lady Vivian and Old Tomes have their own thoughts on the current state of things. Could be that they don't. It certainly can't hurt to ask.
I suppose not.
How is it that every one of your little excursions presages some inexplicable catastrophe? Not that you are to blame for the Dominion's fate. No one could have predicted the actions of the Crown Prince.
I'm sorry I couldn't save your home.
My countrymen are stronger than you think. A few toppled clock towers won't break their spirits. They'll be back on their feet in no time.
I hope so.
Look at us. Bluer than a pair of bog crabs. Tempting though it may be, sulking will not help us find a solution to this mess.
You believe there's one to be found?
I don't know. But I am certain we're more likely to find it if we first examine the facts.
Beneath these darkened skies, fear and confusion reign over Valisthea. Oh, the lands around the fallen Mother Crystals had already begun to wilt for want of ether. But not like this. Crystals that filled wells and fueled furnaces. Now nothing but pretty shards of rock. And those that hang from the people's necks cast nary a glimmer of light to keep the dark at bay. It is only a matter of time before the common folk convince themselves that the end of days is upon us. Yet I fear a swift end is more than we can hope for. While most of the world thirsts for ether, the remainder drowns in it, spawning Akashic in droves. And amidst the hordes of mindless beasts, with magics as like to fail as function, even the strongest nation would falter. Rosaria and the Iron Kingdom teeter on the brink of collapse, while the tragedy in Twinside has all but paralyzed the Holy Empire. Dalmekia fares little better. Rumor has it the ministers fled the capital after the fall of Drake's Fang, leaving their beloved republic to crumble. Waloed, meanwhile, moves in earnest. The Einherjar has been sighted off Storm. The world, in short, is in chaos. It would seem our civilization was nothing but a castle of sand, to be washed away at the whim of the waves.
A castle of sand.
Not my best flourish, but it seemed fitting. The reports I've received are considerably more blunt in their appraisal. Without the protection of their nations, it will fall to the people to defend themselves against those who would take what is theirs.
Which is only ever going to end one way.
Defending a farmhouse against a band of chocobo thieves is one thing, but pitchforks and palisades will do little to stall an army's advance. Should the King of Waloed deign to invade, there would be none to stop him.
None but us.
Is a storm coming, Sid? Will there be thunder?
Let me guess. You're here about the skies.
Is there anything you don't know, Lawsman?
It doesn't take a court astrologer to augur the obvious. As for what has disturbed the heavens, that, I believe, is a question the Fallen might be better placed to answer than I. And on the 6th day did the gods tear the sun from the firmament, visiting darkness upon their prideful sons and daughters. But I dare say you remember your childhood lessons on the sins of Zemeckis only too well.
You think they're connected? That Ultima was one of the gods responsible?
Well, he has certainly exhibited powers that we mortals would associate with the divine.
There is nothing divine about him.
But he wouldn't be the first god of whom that could be said, now would he? Yet for all the fairy tales that tell of the sins, there is almost nothing in the way of actual historical accounts. Had I the Journal of Moss the Chronicler, I may have been able to tell you more, but alas, I fear all remaining copies have been lost to time. You will forgive me, I hope?
Certainly not. Because there is nothing to forgive. Even without this journal, you've provided us ample wisdom. And we will always be grateful for it. Perhaps Otto will be more inclined to share his thoughts when he hears what the others had to say.
Clive, we have a problem.
Only one. That would be a first.
It would. Actually, there are 3. We had as many owls arrive while you were at the shelves. Martha's got a Akashic out her gates, and talk of monsters roaming the hills outside of Northreach has put the wind up Isabel and her lot.
And don't forget Dalimil. Lubor says the village was raided by bandits.
When it rains...
It fucking pours. The curse breakers are spread thin, taking stock of the damage in the Dominion. And even if I could get word to all of them, I doubt they get here in time to make any real difference. Which means there's only two people who can.
Jill and I.
Let them know we're on our way.
Clive! Quick look.
Do you have any fresh water?
Now I just need to see about getting the word. I want to know right away.
Bad news.
Good, actually. Something worth celebrating for a change. Only trouble is, the serving girl's still new to the job, so I can't leave her while I go and invite those I'd like to celebrate with.
What exactly are you celebrating, if you don't mind me asking?
I've come by a particularly fine... A bottle of red. A Gotan 66, no less. Gotan Rouge is the only good thing to have ever come out of the Empire. And most wouldn't part with a 66 if you held a knife to their throats.
So I've heard.
Oh, so you know of it then? Clearly you're a gentleman of taste. A gentleman who might sympathize with my... predicament, perhaps? Would you pass the good news to a few friends of mine? I'll give you a little something for your time, of course.
Sounds simple enough.
So you'll do it? Marvelous. Thank you. You won't need to go far. All three of them should be right here in the market. There's Aldrich the porter, Milan the butcher, and Bolek, a guard over at the north gate. Three of the finest fellows in Boklad, if you ask me. Tell them to come to the tavern when they've finished for the day. Stop by again when you let them know, and I'll give you your little something.
I'll be right back.
Needs a porter when we're left to go.
I've been asked to find Aldrich, the porter. I don't suppose that's you, is it?
That's me right enough. You need something delivered?
The innkeeper sent me. He said there's a cup of Gotan 66 with your name on it when you're done for the day.
A 66? Bugger me. If he's just got hold of it now, it must have been in the crates he had me carry down from Sambrek.
From the Empire to Boklad. You must be a braver man than most. That's a treacherous route at the best of times.
Such is the porter's lot. There's not a patch of storm these feet haven't traipsed across. It's Oriflamme one day, then off to Canva the next. The farther you're willing to go, the fatter the purse. Which is why there's no shortage of competition for some of the longer routes. I'd say I've done enough for today to earn myself a cup of something tasty. Thanks for letting me know.
Please. A piece of fruit.
Are you Milan, the butcher?
That's me. What can I do for you?
The innkeeper's just had a special delivery. He thought you might like to join him for a cup of wine after you pack up for the day.
He knows me only too well. And I've got a ham here that will go handsomely with a nice drop.
Wine and ham to spare. Barclad clearly isn't suffering, then.
Comes with being the place everyone has to pass through to get to everywhere else. Those who travel the Crystal Road bring all manner of goods with them. We get meat from San Brec, herbs from Rosaria. Why, sometimes we even see curiosities from across the Narrow. Or rather we did, till not so long ago. These are lean times, and even Barclad isn't the bustling trading post it once was. Still, there's no point dwelling on it. Better to live life while you can, eh? And on that note, it sounds like there's a cup of wine needing my attention.
You'll buy something, won't you?
Please.
You've raised the price.
I showed you my pass. What do you want from me?
I'm looking for Bolek. I was told he'd be guarding the gate.
Well, you found him. You're not here to enlist, I take it?
The innkeeper sent me. He's just taken delivery of a rare vintage, a Gotan 66. He thought you might like a cup.
I've never said no to a goat hand. I'm not about to start now. Thanks for letting me know.
You must be a busy man.
No one's making for the refugee camps anymore. Not after what happened in the Dominion. Meaning, they linger here instead. I spend more of my days moving beggars along than I do manning these gates. What gets to me are the gangs that prey on the poor sods. As if they haven't suffered enough. Some days you can't help but wonder what the world's coming to. You know what? That wine's sounding better by the moment.
Well done. I wonder if the innkeeper might spare a cup of that wine.
Please. A piece of fruit.
Do you have any fresh water?
I spoke to your friends. They'll be along soon.
That's fantastic news. Thank you kindly. It's been a while since we all sat down together. And the way I see it, that wine is as much theirs as it is my own.
How so?
Well, I wouldn't be serving anything but slops without Aldrich to go and fetch the good stuff for me. And then there's Milan, who always sends customers my way. And Bolek, an even-handed keeper of the peace, if ever there was one. Those three are the backbone of Barclad. Lose any one of them, and the market would soon fall apart. And without the market, I wouldn't have a single customer. I'd say that's worth a bottle of 66, wouldn't you?
And more besides.
Everyone needs a shoulder to lean on. Be they world-weary innkeepers or brooding swordsmen. Right. I'd better prepare for my guest's arrival.
I hear you had me carrying a bottle of Gotan 66. If I'd have known, I would have sold the thing and lived like a lord. I'll settle for a cup, though, if you're in a sharing mood.
A Gotan 60 bloody 6. Just as well I had something special of my own set aside.
A bottle between the four of us might not be enough to drown our sorrows, but it can't hurt.
Here they are, the three pillars of Barclad. Sit yourselves down, gentlemen. The woes of the world may be monstrous in many, but they There's nothing like a few good friends to keep the misery at bay.
Never a truer word spoken.
Sid! Your new companion appears much more formidable than your uncle. Should I be worried?
You haven't been introduced.
Jill, Clive has told me much about you.
All lies, I'm sure.
Your Stolas said that Dalamil has a bandit problem.
Indeed. Although, you're a little late. They left with our food and guild days ago.
Any idea where they went?
The desert's a big place. Your guess is as good as mine. But the fact is, I have more immediate concerns.
What did you say to me? What did you say?
Ah, as if by magic. Let's just say we've yet to reach a consensus about how to solve Dalimil's little problem. And at this rate, it won't be the actions of the bandits which prove to be our undoing. It will be our own. I've tried reasoning with the dissenting parties, but even the Desert Hare has limits.
Perhaps we could talk to them.
What makes you think they'll listen to us?
What makes you think they won't?
She makes a fair point, Sid. And you won't have wasted much of your precious time if you fail. They're just across the courtyard.
Suppose we just follow the shouting.
You wouldn't talk like that if it had been your men whose throats were slit. Blood for blood, it's the only way. We hire mercenaries and have them mount the bandits' heads on our walls as a lesson to the rest.
And what happens when those mercenaries are slaughtered like your men? Are you going to hire more? We're better off using that coin to buy food and supplies. If we hire mercenaries, the only thing we're buying is the bandits' ire. And you cannot fill empty bellies with that. Do you hear me?
But what happens when they come back? Maybe it'll be your throat that's slit.
That's enough. Both of you. Any more of this and I'll throw you out myself. Come back when you're ready to talk like adults.
Victor. What's he doing here?
Sid. And Lady Jill. What brings you here?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Costness is in chaos, and the markets have all but ceased to operate. The Briar's Kiss here in Dalamil is the only place I can reliably obtain supplies. I was here to do just that when Master Lubor told me of his troubles. He thought I might be able to talk some sense into these fools. But if you're here, I suppose his patience must be waning.
Who are those people?
Those were the thorns in Lubor's side. And the reason this place might be headed the same way as Costness. It's these accursed skies. The darkness is enough to drive a man to madness. Or an entire city, for that matter.
We're still working on the skies. But in the meantime, perhaps we can find a solution to Dalamil's problems.
I hope so. For all our sakes.
So, you see my predicament?
What I saw was a room full of people who were angry and afraid. And with good reason by the sound of it. But if left to smolder, that anger and fear could set the entire town alight.
My thoughts exactly. What to do? Both sides wish to protect their homes and livelihoods, if only they could agree on how. But as long as they are divided, we are vulnerable.
And if there's one thing bandits like, it's an easy target.
What would Sid the Outlaw suggest?
Well, if it were my namesake, he'd let them choose for themselves, and be on hand to pick up the pieces when it all went wrong.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
A recipe for disaster is precisely what it is. But perhaps that realization would be enough to make them question the ingredients. While it's plain neither Conrad nor Natalie will countenance the other's proposal, it may still be possible to make them doubt their own. Before presenting them with a third option.
And that would be?
To pool our resources and save the city ourselves. Why fight each other?
When all that fear and anger can be directed at the bandits.
It appears we have a plan of action. Victor, pay Conrad a visit. See if you can't convince him of his folly. I'll speak with Natalie.
As you wish.
Your faces are not well known in this town. That may prove useful. Don't worry, Victor and I will do most of the talking. You need only play along.
Play along?
What he means to say is yes.
Picture it, Conrad. Ah, here she is. The Lady of the Spear herself. Conrad, may I introduce you to Jane, commander of the Red Wings, the oldest mercenary guild in the Free Cities.
A pleasure, my lady.
The pleasure is all mine.
As I told you, I summoned the commander here from Canver to inquire about a contract.
Victor says you told him no. That there aren't any men left to hire. Is that true?
True as the crystals cracked. Nobles came and claimed every last one worth his salt. And not just from us Red Wings. You know of the 7 high houses. There must be 2 swords assigned each one. Granted, we have a few boys left. If it's boys you're looking for.
Well, Conrad, are you saying that Dalamil's finest cannot defend this town better than a gaggle of unblooded striplings? That a band of beardless youths could better avenge the deaths of your brave men than you yourselves?
Absolutely not. We'll show those bastards who they're dealing with.
I can't believe that actually worked.
Conrad's not what you call the brightest candle in the crypt. And there's a reason why I had you do the talking and not Sid. Well played, my lady.
A shop.
If I had my pickaxe, I would...
I mean, it may still be possible to buy something. Ah, here he is now. Natalie, allow me to introduce Lord Underhill of Randalar's prestigious League of Merchants.
Lord Underhill. At your service.
Underhill?
I was just telling the good lady of our conversation, my lord, and how you were lamenting the state of the capital's stores.
Lubor says that not only are the granaries almost empty, but that war and the Blight mean this season's harvest won't be enough to fill them for winter.
Indeed, certainly that is the case. The nobles in the capital are buying up the city's stocks of barley and wine, driving the prices higher than most commoners can afford. It is only a matter of time before the peasants revolt.
It is worse than I thought. If what Lord Underhill says is true, I fear we have little hope of supplementing our stores, meager though they regrettably are. And while I applaud your endeavors to dissuade our more bellicose citizens from seeking vengeance, I sense Conrad is not wrong in his assessment of the bandits' likely return. Which means that now, more than ever, we will need to secure what little we still have. Food, weapons, herbs, everything. If our humble town is to endure not only this hardship, but those that are certain to follow, we must stand united.
All right. If it will help to protect my home, I'll do it. But you needn't have gone through this charade.
Thank you, Clive. Your performance was nothing if not workmanlike.
She saw right through it.
I didn't say it was good, merely that it produced the desired effect. Now, my scouts should be returning shortly. Meet me back at the Briar's Kiss, and we shall see what we face.
I'm not convinced our roles in this ruse were entirely necessary.
I don't know. Conrad seemed quite taken with you.
Defend what little we have.
Mummy, I'm scared.
I'm ruined.
Good news, Sid. Both Conrad and Natalie have somewhat gracefully accepted their new roles. With time, they may even learn to...
Time no longer appears to be the luxury it was before lunch.
I take it your scouts found the bandits.
Technically, it would be the bandits who found my scouts. It appears they march for Dalimil as we speak.